And we are going to enter into our Shabbat service, moving from the time of kibitzing and schmoozing and being excited to see one another into our service and our sacred space and our sacred time. And so I want to ask each of us to take a deep breath in and then begin when we release to release the week. Take another deep breath in and imagine all of our screens connecting to one another, creating, as it were, a sanctuary across Cleveland, across the country, anywhere we are creating a sanctuary. Release your breath. One more breath, breathing in the sweetness of Shabbat. And releasing the stresses of the week. Another way we welcome Shabbat is through song. And this week we'll begin with Ki Eshmara Shabbat.
You're muted, Rabbi.
Sorry. We turn now to our candles and Kiddush. And if you have your candles and Kiddush ready to go, I hope that you will join me in ushering in Shabbat by lighting the Shabbat candles. You can even read with me at home as we candles give light to all who behold them. So may we, through our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations who have kindled lights, so may we be inspired to kindle these lights.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with mitzvot and who teaches us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. We continue with Kiddush. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God stopped on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on that day God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים.
L'chaim. Our opening reading is a beautiful poem by Leah Goldberg, who was an Israeli poet. Teach me, my God, blessing and prayer, for the secret of the withered leaf, the brightness of the ripened fruit, for this freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to wish, to fail. Teach my lips a blessing, a song of praise, in renewal of your day, each morning and eve, that my day not be like all yesterdays, that my day not be merely routine. And that seemed particularly perfect for these times. And we continue now with the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is our call to faith, our call saying it is time to pray. And we've warmed up a little bit, and now we are ready to say to God, we're ready. We are ready to pray. And it's a call response. And so the first line of Hebrew is Deb's, for she's leading the prayers at this time. And then we respond, yep, here we are ready.
Please rise as able or desired.
Thank you, Deb.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed.
Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe. The muted colors of the twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness and ever-changing drama. In the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. And we turn to the Shema, the watchword of our faith. If you feel comfortable, please rise in body or spirit.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivdecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayula totafot beinenecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We turn now in our service to singing Micha Mocha, our song of freedom, reminding us that when we got across the Red Sea, the Israelites had took a moment to celebrate, to say, yes, the journey may be long, but sometimes you just have to say, yes, there are times to stop and celebrate the moments.
Kodesh, Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar Ba'Kodesh. Nora Tehilot, Osef Beleh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Beleh, Adonai. Moshe u'Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
I almost did it again. I almost talked on mute. So we turn now to one of my favorite prayers in the service, the Hashkivenu. I was working with someone the last couple of weeks, and they were asking me, how is it that these prayers stay meaningful? To me, when I do them week after week, year after year, you know, I'm on year 21 plus in the rabbinate. I know, it's a little weird. So I told them that whenever every stage that we live through, every 6 months, a prayer can mean something different. And Hashkivenu has always been, since the year 800, when it was written, a lullaby, a song of protection. When it was written, it was a song for literally for physical protection, because evenings were scary. And then it was a spiritual protection for many, many years. And now, since pandemic, it's come to mean something really much deeper, because it is spiritual and physical again. We know danger and fear in a way we have not in contemporary times in the United States. And so when we sing this song, we really do ask for God to be with us, for God to provide for us a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. We sing together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Guard us from all harmful things.
opening reading was about a request to not make every day feel the same. And this next prayer is similar. Vishamru reminds us that Shabbat is a gift of time that is different from other times. The last word of Vishamru is Vayinafash, and was refreshed. And so we sing Vishamru to remind us that time can still be sacred and can feel different. And even if it's a little bit harder to do, even if it's a little bit unusual.
Sorry. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Oti leolam, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We turn now to the Amidah, which is the center of our service. During this part of the service, we refocus ourselves. We remember our forefathers and foremothers upon whose shoulder and merit we stand. We honor God's greatness and the sanctity of this day. As you are able and comfortable in body or in spirit, please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanorah, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, vekoneh hakol, vezocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, umevi geola livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofech olim. Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar, micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech meimit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol. Baruch ata Adonai mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We turn now to take a few moments now for gratitude. There are so many things for which we can be grateful. I know you've heard me say this before. It's easier to say oi than it is to be joyous. It's easier to be an oi Jew than it is to be a joy Jew. And so we're going to, I know it's a terrible joke. So we're going to take a few moments now to celebrate our blessings, to give thanks for those blessings in our lives. If you have things that you wish to lift up in the chat can be found in the middle, usually of the lower bar on your screen. You just click on it, make sure it says everyone, so you're not private messaging someone, and share something that you're grateful for. It can be something very small, a beautiful flower, a great sunset. It can be something really earth-shattering, whatever you're thinking of on this Shabbat Eve.
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hador, Ki ata lechol hashalom, Ki ata hu melech hador, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. You're muted again.
I'm so excited tonight, I can't take the time to unmute. Even as we know there are so many blessings and so much to be grateful for, we also know there are many who are struggling. And so we take the time now to think about those who are struggling in illness, whether it be an illness of body, an illness just of the spirit. Things are hard right now, mental illness, so many different ways that we struggle. And we once again use our chat and lift up those who we pray for with our Misha Berach, our prayer for healing on this Shabbat. take a few moments now for silent prayer and reflection. There were a number of you that joined me just over a year ago in Columbus with RAC Ohio. RAC Ohio Religious Action Center Ohio is part of the Religious Action Center. And if you don't know what the Religious Action Center is, let me give you just a 2-second history, probably more than 2 seconds. The Religious Action Center was formally created probably in the 1950s, and it was created to be the Tikkun Olam arm of the Reform movement, believing that our values are lived out not just in prayer and not just in self-growth, but also in working to make the world the best place it can be. JB, thank you, has put up a link to the RAC. The RAC has been pivotal in working towards making the United States the best it can be in a non-partisan, nonprofit way. The Civil Justice Reform Act that Martin Luther King was part of was written in DuPont Circle at the RAC location because no one else would let Martin Luther King right there, Martin Luther King Jr. right there. So it has been an extraordinary part of American history, contemporary American history. About 5 to 7 years ago, the Religious Action Center was really pushed nationally by different states, including Ohio. Ohio, Texas, and California were the first 3 states to say to the RAC, you know what, we're better if you would help us to organize our congregations in each community. So previous to this, each congregation did its own work by itself. So if Suburban Temple-Kol wanted to do social action work, we did it by ourselves. And if Temple Tifereth Israel or Fairmount Temple wanted to do social action work, they did it by themselves. And Ohio came up with a dream. The Reformed Jews of Ohio said, we're better when we're together. And we can make a bigger difference in making Ohio the best state it can be if all Reformed Jews shared a voice. And so 5 years ago, that dream came to be. And the Ohio RAC came to be. And I was on that core team that helped it come to be. For a number of years, for about 2.5 years, we had a formal paid organizer. With COVID and budget cuts, that has gone away, and we are now back to being a volunteer team. This evening, I want to share with you some of the work that's happened. For the last 2 years, we've been working towards criminal justice reform. In Ohio, our prisons are overcrowded. One of the reasons our prisons are overcrowded is that a low-level nonviolent drug offense is a felony. So you can be caught with a tiny little bit of something the first time, and you are a felon, and you are sent to prison for a very long time, and that continues. It stays on your record. You can't rent an apartment, all of these things. And so it's one of the reasons, and you don't get any drug treatment either. So it's one of the reasons that our prisons are so overcrowded. So a bill, a bipartisan piece of legislation was introduced into the House and the Senate 2 years ago. We've been trying to help this get passed because it's good for Ohio. This evening, I want to share with you a video. And the reason for the video is because he is incredible. Rabbi Rick Kellner is the current co-chair of RAC Ohio, and he lives in Columbus and has been tireless in the pursuit of the bill, which is called SB3. He's going to teach you a little bit about the bill and about why it's part of our movement's obligation to move forward. And because it was filmed on an Apple product, and I am not an Apple person, Deb is going to share it with you.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Rabbi Rick Kellner, and I am the rabbi of Congregation Beth Tikva in Worthington, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus. I also have the honor of serving as co-chair for RAC Ohio, which is our statewide Reformed Jewish Justice organization working to make life better for all Ohioans. I want to thank my colleague and friend, Rabbi Van, for inviting me to share a few words with you on this Shabbat. 2 years ago, I had the honor of going with a group of congregants to the State House to discuss with the attorney for the State Senate some issues of our concern about legislation that would be crafted in the next General Assembly. This legislation would ultimately become Senate Bill 3, a piece of legislation that is looking to change Ohio's drug sentencing laws. One of the congregants I brought with me had grown up at the congregation. He was a young adult studying for his master's in Chicago. But earlier in his life, he had faced challenges with addiction. When he went to look for an apartment in Chicago, the felony record that he had from when he was addicted to heroin still was on private companies that did searches. His family had worked hard to seal his record, but the fact that it still showed up on private databases made it difficult for him to find an apartment. The words that he shared with the attorney for the state Senate were, "It is like a scarlet letter that is eternally scarring my life." That scarlet letter is the letter F for felony. Too many of our fellow Ohioans are charged with felony crimes for low-level drug possession. They face addiction, and when they go to prison, they don't get treatment. They get punished. We know that addiction is not a moral failure. It is an illness that needs to be treated with love each and every day. When I think about our role as Jews, I think about the story of us coming out of Egypt. Each and every time we pray, we celebrate our exodus from Egypt when we sing the words of the Michamocha. Mitzrayim, Egypt, is a narrow place. When we are addicted, we fall into that narrow place where we give ourselves over to the drug. What we need is treatment to help us get out of that narrow place. What we don't need is punishment, where they don't care about our soul, where they don't give us the healing that we need. This week in our Torah portion, we read about the wells that Abraham had dug that were stopped up by the Philistines. And we read about Isaac going to redig those wells so that he could create Be'er Maim chaim, a wellspring of life. Be'er literally means well, but perhaps if we channel our rabbis, they might have said, well, it should have said ba'or. It should have given light. Ma'im chaim, we know, are the waters of living life. So what we are looking to do is give light and life to those who face and battle addiction each and every day. Senate Bill 3 will change low-level possession crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. It will enable people to get the services that they need that promote healing and wholeness. SB 3 has been under hearings. It has gone through the state Senate, and now we are trying to get it through the House. We are calling on all of our fellow Ohioans and our Reformed Jews across the state to get involved in this final process. Throughout the weeks of 2020 that remain, we will give you updates about what you can do to help make this bill move forward and get signed into law, so that we can bring healing and wholeness, that we can bring the wellspring of life to those who face addiction each and every day, so that we can celebrate with them the important moments that they have when they say they are sober. I know that some of you have gone to the State House to lobby for this bill. We are grateful for your work, and we are grateful that you will get involved with this work to see this bill get passed and signed into law. Shabbat Shalom.
He is amazing. I am honored to call him my colleague, and now you know why he is the chair of Ohio RAC. In the chat, you see the action that we have for you. Representative Lang is the chair of the committee. Yesterday, there was a hearing. They are now off for Thanksgiving. 21 of the 25 letters, they're not doing, what's the word I'm looking for? I just lost the word. Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Anyway, I can't find the word. 21 of the 25 submissions used to be, testimonies. Oh my goodness. 21 of the 25 testimonies were in favor of this legislation. They're not allowing in-person testimonies anymore. They have to be in writing. But 21 of the 25 were in favor of this legislation. They were all bipartisan. This legislation was handed in as a bipartisan legislation. They are now off for Thanksgiving, so this is the only action that we have. Yesterday there was a hearing. We'll know more after Thanksgiving. There is a timeline to this. There's been nothing happening for months and months and months and months and months, and then suddenly it was back on the docket. If this legislation does not go through by December 30th, it's as if it was never written and we start all over again. So there is some urgency to get this passed. It is a really, really excellent bipartisan legislation with a lot of bipartisan support. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you listening to this and knowing this is a Jewish value. If you think about Joseph being stuck in the well, Joseph's crime was that he was his father's favorite, and then he bragged about it. He deserved that second chance to make himself a better person. We all do as well, to not have that follow us. And we all deserve the chance for real treatment. And we as Ohioans can do that. And I am excited to see where we can go. And I am excited to sing together, to sing this energy. And Deb has chosen a great song for us.
If I don't stand up for myself, then who will stand for me? If I don't know me, who's gonna show me? And if I don't stand up for another, who is my brother? How can I hold my head up high? He may not עכשיו ומתי, אם אין אני לי מי לי, וכשאני לעצמי מה אני, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם לא עכשיו ומתי. Well, you know that I've got your back if trouble should find you. I will remind you that I am behind you. And would you please watch out for me if I go astray now? Help make it okay now. Show me the way. וכשאני לעצמי מה אני, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם אין אני לי מי לי, וכשאני לעצמי מה אני, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם לא עכשיו ומתי. If not now, when? This chance might never come again. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Lie, lie, la, la, lie, 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 la, la, lie, 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 la, la, lie, 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 la, la, lie, lie, lie. וכשאני לי מי לי, וכשאני לעצמי מה אני, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם אין אני לי מי לי, וכשאני לעצמי מה אני, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי, אם לא עכשיו ומתי.
Thanks, Deb. And a wonderful message with an upbeat, engaging beat. I know it's going to be in my head all night. We turn now to Aleinu, which is really the perfect segue, because Aleinu is, you know, I've been trying to teach this for a long time, to disconnect it a little bit. Oh, Aleinu, the service is almost over. Aleinu is really about our raising ourselves up to connect with God and to help be God's partner in making the world as perfect as it can be. And so let me get the Torah. Please rise. Please rise in body and in spirit. Who knew I would have a makeshift ark in my home office? Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We come now in our service to our time of remembering, to our time of thinking of those who are no longer with us. In Shloshim, on this Shabbat in the first month since their death, Richard Weinberg. And we remember the yardzites, the anniversaries of death that fall on this Shabbat. Marilyn Bialowski, Eva Biskin, Norman Cummins, Edith Cummins, Elka Cheko, Max Edelman, Morris Louis Finneberg Sr., Samuel Philip Fisher, Manuel Foreman, Rosalind K. Friedman, Fanny Freiberg, Edna Gelman, Biba Slensky Golden, Maurice Goldman, Anna Shanvan Goldman, Abraham I. Greenwald, Morris H. Haar, Sandria Johnson, Rolinda Hayes Joseph, Rose Kane, Joseph B. Lieb, H. Jacques Lehman, Walter W. Magnus, Sophia Saxel Mantler, Ralph A. Mayer, Louis Miltziner Jr., David A. Moritz, Sarah R. Osherwitz, Henry Phillips, Ted Preston, Roselle Leifman Reinschreiber, Dr. Norman J. Rosenberg, Abraham Rubenstein, Gerald Rubenstein, Calvin Siegel, Bert A. Spanier, Anne Furtman Stern, Rose Haberman Witter, Meyer T. Wopow. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arm around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. We rise as able in body or in spirit for the mourner's Kaddish. Yid Gadal v'yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma Divra Hirute B'amlich Malchute, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'izman Kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Almei Almaya, Yit Barach v'yishtabach v'yit Pa'ar v'yit Romam v'yit Naseh, v'yit Hadar v'yit Haleh v'yit Halal Shemei Dekudisha Barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav, huya ase shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Before we turn to our closing song, I do want to invite everyone to take a quick look at the daily email from yesterday or from today for a project that we're working on that can also give you something to do if every day is feeling exactly the same and can give you lots of things to do over Thanksgiving. Deb, our closing song is
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam. I knew you told me. Sorry.
You know, should we also remind people that this is a good time to sign up for our tent?
Yes, our tent is open. There are incredible classes. I do want to say, I see many of our Israel people. Hillel Meyer is teaching. Hillel's going to come from Israel. No, he's not going to come from Israel. He's zooming in from Israel. And Hillel is teaching for our Israel people. I know, it's very exciting. So we have lots of guest teachers.
Yeah.
You should take a look at the classes.
Yes.
There's a link in the chat, and there's a link on the daily email.
But for now, let's sing along.
Let's sing
Adon Olam together. Here
yes.
we go. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, Temple-Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, Bechepzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemon Hikra, Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kiklot Hakol, Levado Yimloch Nora, Adon Olam, Ve'hu Hayah Tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Vehu Echad, Ve'ein Sheni, Lahamshilo Lahachbira Adon Olam, Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Haos Vaha Misra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Vehu Eli, Vechai Goali, Vetzorchev li Beyetzara Adon Olam, Vehu Nisi, Umanos li, Menat Kosi Beyom Ekra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Beyado Afkid Ruchi, Be'et Dishan Ve'a'ira Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi Geviyati, Adonai li velo ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God lift up each one of us, and may God bring us shalom, peace, and wholeness. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.